Hello there, Army, or people who have stumbled onto this video who aren't Army and are wondering what the hell part of the internet they found themselves on. My name is Comedian, and I'm making a sort of different video today because I wanted to react to an explanation video for Am I Wrong by BTS, except there isn't really one. I mean, there kind of is one, but it seems very long, and they also said in the description that you can't use it without their permission, which I'm not going to try and get right now. But basically, I reacted to BTS Am I Wrong last week, as requested by one of my lovely patrons. If you haven't watched the reaction and you want to, the link is in the description, maybe, or on my channel. But basically, it was a really fun, I reacted to a live stage video, and because it was a live stage that was suggested to me, I put all of my attention into focusing on the actual live stage bit. And some of the lyrics flew over my head, obviously also because I'm not Korean, as you can maybe see, and apparently there's a lot of reference to Korean culture and politics in there. But I don't want to be ignorant, I want to be informed. And you guys have asked me to react stuff like Dulce Bangtan or stuff like that, which, let me just say this, that's basically not going to happen on my channel, at least not right now. Firstly, the idea of trying to react to a song and then that's in Korean and then read the lyrics that are in Korean but with a translation that's in English at the same time, it just I have ADHD quite badly, and that honestly, just the idea of it makes me very anxious. It's not gonna happen. That's outside of my comfort zone. And as far as reading something like Dulce Bangtan after a reaction, that's something that I don't really have time for right now, just with the way my video is edited. And that's a whole other conversation. I need to ask you guys about that. I'm gonna have to do a poll or something, because the more I do these videos, the more I suspect that I'm completely wasting my time editing them. But I am a video editor, so it's very hard for me to not edit stuff for no reason and to strive for silly goals, or to be I must release all my reactions in 4K, which at least I kind of stopped doing recently because my computer just kept crashing. But anyway, it's not that I don't care or that I don't want to be informed or whatever. It's just that I physically can't, not with this brain I have, unfortunately, do something like Dulce Bangtan or any blog post at the same time as listen to a song. That's just not how my personality works, not how my brain works. And if I did a Dulce Bangtan thing after the main song, then it would just add on all this editing, and that also stresses me out. A lot of this just comes down to me being afraid of the world. But I thought it would be fun to do it for this one because there's no real explanation video, so I can kind of not make one. I mean, I'm just going to be reading this and sharing my thoughts on it. But I want to show you guys that I do care, and I do actually obviously want to learn. But yeah, my lovely patron Celeste sent me the live stage to react to, so I focused on the live stage because she chose to send the live stage itself. And so yeah, some of the contents went over my head, but let's find out. So as I understand, this does play into a timeline of Korean politics, and right now I am using the site Muish's Ramblings, which I was recommended for this particular video or song. And yeah, as I understand, this plays into the politics, so there's a timeline here. So in 2013, Park Geun-hye, which I probably just butchered, apologies, became elected president. And I'm pretty sure that was the same one that I saw. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So there were various issues during the presidency. For example, the Seawolf Ferry tragedy happened in 2014, and I know about that because I did Spring Day quite early on in my BTS reaction career, and I also did an explanation video for it too. So I definitely became aware of her name. Of note, there was a very good disaster action protocol in place in Korea previously, put in place by a different political party. Park's party got rid of this protocol when it took power. And I mean, this is just a separate thing, but it's honestly shameful how many governments will come into power and then they'll see something that was definitely progress, definitely a worthwhile thing, and they'll be like, I'll just get rid of that. It's they're not even trying to pretend or hide the fact that they're the bad guys, So this is what led to the Seawolf Ferry tragedy being so botched up. You can imagine the anger at her party afterwards. And disaster action protocol is back in place now, which is good. So under the ex-president, there were attempts to suppress criticisms even as early as 2014 and rumours of blackness of artists who may have criticised her. On October 24th to 25th, JTBC reported the existence of a tablet that contains evidence of corruption. A tablet, as in an iPad? Or is an ancient tablet, like a Jesus tablet? We found this tablet deep in the Korea River. It has translations for Egyptian and also corruption allegations on it. Okay, so it started the path to impeach the now ex-president. This is all fascinating, really. So Am I Wrong was released on October 2016, a couple of weeks before the news report. Interesting. At the time the song was released, nobody knew that there was going to be such a sudden blow-up of a scandal. However, this was during a time when there was discontent brewing under the surface, especially about attempts to censor the media, and the blacklists were kind of secrets everyone knew about. Of note, I find that BTS songs usually don't promote simple rebellion, but tend to be more encouraging listeners to think about the world around them and speak up when you need to. While this song wasn't directly a diss to the government, it did raise some eyebrows, as this was a time when you didn't have to be directly criticising the government to be on one of those blacklists. See, immediately this gives the song a lot more context to me. I had no idea about the context. I thought it was kind of a generic, like, well, not generic, I guess. I just saw it as a more general kind of like, wake up sheeple kind of thing. But this is obviously very specific. And the fact that they were early on in their career, like right now, obviously, we know BTS as being untouchable. This is back in 2016. I think it's probably fair to say I'm not a BTS expert, but I think they probably weren't untouchable back then. So the fact that they still spoke out about this is impressive to me. Like, it's impressive. It shows their morals and their standards. For example, Park's government restricted media from even talking about things like the Seoul tragedy, even in a non-critical way. They felt reminders of Seoul would decrease their approval rate and try to limit even a natural mourning to citizens. The blacklist wasn't something that would have put the artists in physical danger, but could get them not be invited on TV, get funding pulled. Because there's a difference. I mean, when we live in a capitalist society, this is not quite physical danger, but this is danger. Like, that is your livelihood. That's your method of getting food and drink taken away. Like, there's a reason, corrupt governments do this. Under capitalism, they wield that power. That is a power they can use to completely ruin your life. The political scandal that started snowballing in October 2016 led to candlelight protests involving millions of people that winter and eventual impeachment of Park in March 2017, which is amazing. I mean, like, it's actually kind of almost inspirational and almost relieving these days to read about, a political uprising or revolution that basically is mostly peaceful. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't entirely peaceful, but you obviously read it, in news articles, about places where they're trying to achieve this same kind of freedom or cast out same kind of oppressive government, and they're met with just horrendous violence. I mean, the thing that's happening in Myanmar right now is obviously a great example of that, but it happens a lot in many different countries. While the corruption in the government scandals the presidency, I have to say I was quite impressed that non-violent and legal impeachment of the president was actually possible. It's nice when I say a sentiment that's then followed up in the next line, often in lyrics of a song, although it also makes me feel like a bit of a knob, just kind of preempting the exact same thing. But hey, I'm glad we're on the same page. This would not have been possible in many other countries in the world, including many developed nations. I guess, and some more context here would have been nice, not to criticize the author of this article, but I'm curious now if the level of, I'm sure there was some protests, maybe there was some police forces there, but you have to wonder if the level of, of conflict even was even as great as somewhere like America. I mean, America is a hugely corrupt country, masquerading as the leader of the free world. But, all you had to do was look at the BLM protests and police officers literally assaulting press, assaulting news journalists to see, exactly what this person's talking about. Like this, this might as well just be like, America in brackets. Okay, now we have the lyrics. And obviously already this context is different. The world's going crazy and how about you? You think it's okay, you really don't think it is. A fish lives in everyone's heart, its name is selfish. Now it is funny how, like, I like this line a lot, it made me laugh, but you have to wonder if, if maybe putting a dad joke in a protest song is... See, now I'm saying that, it sounds pretentious, but to me, that set the tone for it, and I immediately thought, like, oh, well, this can't be that serious then. Maybe that's on me, I don't know. And this is interesting. I feel like I end up saying this a lot in my comments, and I always feel weird saying this because it seems like it's like an ego thing, and I can't admit if I was wrong or if like. But there are so many times when I'll react to something, and then obviously during reaction, I'm using a lot of my brain power just to try and speak English. Honestly, maybe like 99% of it, and then so I'll miss things that when I'm editing it, I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, obvious, like it's it's like a second opinion, fresh pair of eyes kind of thing. But I genuinely did notice this. When I was editing it, I was like, wait a second, dogs and pigs. And it reminded me of how that line was in a different BTS song, which I have no hope in hell of remembering now because my brain. But there was a BTS song I reacted to recently that also talked about the dogs and pigs, referencing the same derogatory phrase. And the people in my comments were lovely enough to explain the context to me back then. Because I think a political person said it at the time. The two lines together mean, if you're going to treat us like brainless masses who need no more respect than animals, we're going to lose control of our anger at you, which is very interesting. Like that's a genius, kind of like concept, like a, wordplay. Like if you're going to treat us like animals, then we're going to become animals. It's literally reaping what you sow. Then they do an animal dance, which I'm sure is very erotic. And then this is probably a reference to the scandal, just a few months before Wings. Yeah, okay, so involving an official of the Ministry of Education. He seems to believe that those are privileged not equal to the rest of the population. It is sickening, really, how, in many ways, the world, in general, has moved on since the times of, feudalism, monarchy. And in many ways, it hasn't at all. Like, we just have different names for it now. Instead of kings, we have the 1%. Instead of dukes, we have CEOs. And then also old racist dukes in England. He claimed the public can be treated like dogs and pigs. But the thing about all these people, I wish there was a humane, realistic way to have a TV reality show where they were put into, a low-income area in their way. A way of doing this, like in VR or like a brain germ or something, some crazy, wacky technology where you basically, like The Matrix, that's pretty much what I want, The Matrix. The Wachowskis already sorted it out for me. Where these people who really think they're actually above everyone else, they get born in a lower-income suburb, a slum, whatever it is, and then we see how they do. And I wonder if they'll actually manage to rise to the top again, or if they'll find out, actually, yeah, maybe all those privileges, all the many billions of them I had growing up, actually do make a difference in the world. Like, people that are into classism are basically psychopaths, and I've got absolutely no respect for them. One of the other issues he commented on was a 19-year-old, same age as Jungkook, who died while trying to repair on a Seoul subway due to poor work training and work conditions. It was especially tragic because his remaining possessions just contained instant cup noodle because he could not afford proper food. He was a temp worker in a society that promotes passion pay rather than decent wages and job security. I wonder if passion pay, I can't go into an article hole now. This is like when I got on Wikipedia and ended up spending 4 hours there. But I'm going to guess passion pay is maybe kind of like, their version of horseshit internships, I don't know. Rather than decent wages and job security, it's official claim to feel sad about this instance if his family would be hypocritical. They tried to fire him, but I believe he just ended up being demoted. Again, and it's that, the class system does exist in that there are rules for thee and not for me or whatever. Like, when the people in the 1%, like in America for example, if somebody poor tries to steal, they might get shot to death by a racist police force. If a rich person steals billions, they get a pat on the back, and a time cover. Like, it's completely broken. This ties back to Bepse. Yeah, and I remembered that the stork, and I think they mentioned the stork and the crow tit in this song, or crow boobies. Oh, okay, interesting. Mayday, Mayday is an indirect reference to the sinking of the Seoul ferry. Any ship sinking return that came out would immediately bring their mind to this tragedy. That makes sense. In addition, it also ties in with corruption and greed, as the tragedy underlines many of these issues mentioned above. The corruption where the license certificate for safety was bought. I can't remember if I found that out in the video, but maybe it was in there, but like, the illegally increased capacity of the ferry and overloaded it. Half the employees are poorly trained temp workers. There's a certain aspect of human psyche of some people which properly disturbs me. Like, I don't, and I think it is mental illness, and that's not to stigmatize mental illness. I don't know what the solution is, because, like, in my mind, I think the human race will probably be able to evolve when we can develop a society where we don't have people with conditions like narcissism, sociopathy and psychopathy, who inevitably are more motivated, more inspired to rise to the top and then make life hell for everyone, and also put down laws, put down societal cues, put down all these things that spread down through the ages. They leave a legacy, a negative legacy, a legacy of a fucking smoked turd on society that just doesn't go away. It doesn't scrub off for forever, basically. And I strongly believe it does come down to like those kind of like mental illnesses, mental conditions, because there's no logic behind it. Like, if the actual logic behind these things was properly profit, and this is why, I don't really have time for like libertarians, the people who think that humans are just like generally sensible enough to like have a society built on everything being done for profit. But like, even if your logic was everything should be done for profit, then why would they do this, Like, because obviously, if you cut corners everywhere, it's inevitably going to blow up in your face. It's like, if you decide, I'm going to save money by not having my car serviced, and you drive that car for like 20, 30 years, it's eventually going to crash and hurt you or kill you. And it's like, and all the savings you made are gone because you're dead. Or in this case, because this happens. And obviously, any kind of company where this happens to them, they're gone. Like, they're just dead meat, and like, there's billions in fines, negative exposure, not to mention if they actually cared, like the lives they ruined. It's like how in America there's a very Puritan form of work ethic, which is less common in Europe, where like employees will make you come into work sick, like that, you basically don't get any sick days, and you're looked down upon if you want to take a day off, and they're sure like you have to be like basically on death's bed to not come into work sick. So what happens? People come into work sick, they get everyone else sick, productivity goes down. So, and that should be common sense, but it isn't. It's not really about the common sense. It's not actually about the profits. In a way, it's really about the meanness. Like, I think it's that phrase, the cruelty is the point. That really is what it comes down to. Call for Mayday was not done properly. The ferry started to capsize. Passengers were told to stay in the passenger room and not move, which is just, Again, as much as we think society's moved on, it's like 90 years later and nothing much has changed. Captain and the rest of the crew were first to be rescued and leave the ferry, which is just like... Okay, so then we found out that BTS donated to tragedy families. So the information was leaked. See, that's so respectful. I really respect that they did those donations privately. That shows that their heads are in the right place. Am I wrong? Where are we going? The world is crazily turning around. Turning around in Korean also means to go crazy. So this line can mean the world is crazily going insane. I feel like stuff like this makes me really appreciate the thing which I first thought back when I first directed BTS, which was like, if I'm getting this much from the lyrics, what do they mean in Korean? And sometimes, like I lose sight of that, but I won't think about it all the time. But then when I'm reminded of it, it kind of blows my mind because I get so much from BTS's lyrics. I absolutely love their lyrics. And I'm just, it's like their lyrics are on a TV, my neighbor's TV, and I'm watching it through a keyhole, through a window, you know what I mean? Like BTS could be the one thing to finally inspire me to learn a foreign language, if I ever get the kind of energy and motivation for that kind of pursuit. I once used to learn, I actually had a while where I was doing learning Spanish on Duolingo, and I would just do it when I went to the toilet, and back then my IBS was out of control, so I was doing Duolingo a lot, so maybe if my IBS ever gets crazy again, I'll suddenly become excellent at Korean. Beyonce, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Yeah, kid, you're crazy. You're not crazy, and this crazy world is crazy. Offline and online. The scandal gave birth to a lot of internet discussions, memes, and satire. For example, one netizen, I just said netizen in a video I just filmed earlier. I'm cool. If public is dogs and pigs, should the education be overseen by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Education? That's genius. That's a hell of a tweet. Chosun is what Korea used to be called prior to the 1900s. I had no idea about that. That is fascinating. Huh. This is like a boomer meme, but like intense and about social justice. It's crazy. If you see the news and feel nothing, if you read his comments and feel nothing, if you feel nothing but the anguish, hatred, then you're not normal, abnormal. Okay, I think I definitely took this the wrong way when I watched the video, the live stage video. Or maybe not, but I guess the sentiment is like don't worry, you aren't crazy. This is crazy. Like, the world is crazy. This isn't normal at all. Even if I lose my way in this crazy world, I still want to live a bit more. I want to find my own beliefs. I like that BTS really manages to, is this right? Positivity is the word. They really manage to inject positivity into their words. Even when they talk about very deep and serious things, they do it in a way that is usually uplifting. It usually has, an upbeat or a hopeful message. Because as much as somebody like me, cynical, can just get bogged down in talking about how terrible the world is, like, if you truly believe that exclusively, like the world is exclusively terrible, then you would have no motivation, no hope to change it. Whereas the reality is that, the world is obviously, there's plenty of dark and plenty of light. And most people want to try and build a world where there's far more light than dark. And I appreciate that BTS kind of help with that. And also, it's an interesting aside, more room than anything, is about MBC, a Korean television station. When the Wings album was released, BTS promoted Blood, Sweat, Tears, 21st Century Girl, and Am I Wrong? Am I Wrong was the least promoted out of the three. In October 2016, the government scandal blew up with JBTVC reporting, and randomly in the scandal, NBC got BTS to perform the whole length of Am I Wrong towards the end of their album promotions. And it got both of them, fans and non-fans, to wonder the station trying to make a point. Yeah, fair enough. Interesting, NBC became a station that has suffered a lot of restrictions from the government under ex-President Park and become quite right-wing, kind of like the BBC. So maybe this is an expression of quiet rebellion from a small music program. You have to wonder, because if it's a national station and they're under government control a lot, and they put out that kind of message. Anyway, I'm glad I got all the context for that. It's just done the thing that BTS always does, which just, whenever I read more about this stuff, I just appreciate them more as people and as artists. And I appreciate all of you guys for, sharing the context to songs. Like, one of the things I like is that, even if, I like being able to say exactly what a song means to me, and then if I want the context of what it's supposed to mean, I can go out to comments. I guess that's more true for, stuff that's more about, feelings or thoughts or stuff. This is more directly based on a political event. So obviously, its meaning is more fixed perhaps. But it doesn't mean I still like to share, genuinely, authentically, exactly how a song or video makes me feel. And I do appreciate when you guys give me some more context in the comments. And I hope you guys know that, I really do appreciate the artistry of BTS and of any artist I try and listen to. And I try and understand as much as I can. I try and react to as much as I can. I try and think as much as I can, speak as much as I can, maybe too much. But I can't do everything. But I'm always open to doing explanation videos, reading explanations, whatever it is, even if it's in my own free time. But fundamentally, I just want to give you guys always my honest first impression of something. And I hope you guys can appreciate that honesty. Anyway, it was kind of a different video for me, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. And I like learning. Learning is great. Hooray. Something I never thought I would say back when I was in school. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Please keep all of your comments coming. And if you aren't subscribed and you found this video first, which is kind of weird, then do check out my other reactions and subscribe for more BTS content. See you guys soon. Bye bye. And remember, no, I'm not going to do that. This wasn't really a reaction. Just bye. Bye.